Hi, Cancer. Sun, moon, rising, or if your moon is in your first house, or if you have sun in fourth house. Okay, ooh, hold on. Hi, who is that? Hmm, honey, they left right away. Mhm. Did you not know it was going to be me? Ooh, my wand, which I'm still working on. I have yet to finish. This is a wand that I got in. I forged it on my own, and I'm going to strip it of the bark, and then I'm going to coat it with something, which you will see eventually when it's done. But it's already been soaked and dripped, or I've coated it with the first layer of something. Mhm. Anyway, and it had some stones on it, some crystals on it. So, Cancer, this is going to be your readings for July and August 2019. I have some sounds on in the background to sort of inspire me. There was music on, but it was too distracting, so I thought I would go full in with your energy and I would do ocean waves. So that's what we're listening to. The first reading that you're going to get is going to be an oracle reading, and it is going to be from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. Okay, so it's this one. Bam. So it gives planetary aspects and specific signs, and you get the sun through Saturn. So it does not include Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto. Only the inner planets that we can see with our eyes, right? So radiant, right? That's kind of like energy that can like reach you, yes? Like a ray. A ray starts at one point and it continues to go out. So the energy is going outward, right? So those planets really have a direct effect on us. So these cards will speak directly to you in different ways. I've been reading with these since I got them about maybe a week or two ago. I've done the weeklies with them, and I've also been, just kind of reading my clients with them. I read with a client yesterday with them, and we had such a great specific reading. And what I'm going to do is do a tableau of these Oracle Radiant Sun cards for you. And then I'm going to do a regular Ascendant Classic Providence Tarot spread with the, with the Rider Waite deck, okay? So the energy from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun won't be past, present, or future. I might bring that up, but it'll just kind of be, the energies that you're dealing with, and we'll talk about those planets and what they mean in the signs, and we'll go a little bit deeper as well. Ooh, Cancer, you have so many feelings. There's so much going on with you. You are concerned with other people's feelings as well. It's not so much that you're concerned with their feelings, it's just what feelings that are prompted within you that come as a result of being able to feel other people's feelings, right? Okay, so you got a bonus card here, which, maybe that'll be like your challenge or something, even though you're going to have a challenge and all that business later. So, at the bottom of the deck, you got generosity, which is Saturn in Leo. And Saturn is the planet of time. It is definitely the great teacher. It is kind of like the one of governing, yourself, your life. It's also the planet that rules, your body and, restriction and slowing things down and making things hard and difficult. So this is Saturn in Leo. And Leo is a planet, Leo is a sign of spirituality in a sense because, the sun is your life. It is your spirit, it's the divine force that lives within you that causes you to be alive and well, right? Seeing, eating, sleeping, whatever you're doing, it's because, your heart is beating. It's pumping the energy and the blood throughout your body that's feeding feeding you the oxygen through your body. It's very inspiring when you really think about it. So you could be feeling someone's generosity right now. Someone could be giving you something of value, right? Someone's time. Someone could be generous with their time right now, okay? And they might be making you feel, close to them in spirit. It could be warming your heart, Cancer. You might even just be generous to someone right now because you're feeling like being that way. And it's almost kind of like when you're generous and to people, then you allow them to sort of like pay that generosity forward, right? It's like I was talking about rays in the beginning, right, of this reading. And the sun rules Leo, and the sun has rays that shine outwardly towards us that we can feel, right? We appreciate it every day, and when it's away, some people don't appreciate it when they can't feel the sun's rays, right? So generosity, right? The sun is overtly generous to us, so it's kind of like time is an issue here too, right? So it's kind of like maybe you've been too generous for a long period of time, or maybe maybe that's something for some people as well. You've been overly generous for a long period of time, right? Because the sun is the sun is a maleficent planet, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong with that. And so is Saturn. So this is kind of like teaching you how to share a little bit more and be a little bit more aware of the people around you and what it is that they might need that you can provide to them, because Saturn is providing you with something meaningful, and then Leo is also kind of like doing it from a spirited place, doing it from a heartfelt place. So you might be feeling someone's generosity towards you. So that's good. I'll show you the card. Okay. All right, so let's get into these other cards. The cards that have already shown themselves are Independence, which is Moon in Aquarius, right? Saturn rules Aquarius. The Moon rules Cancer, your sign. The Moon is talking about evolution and feelings, and it's talking about hidden things. It's also talking about emotional freedom, the need to do things out of an emotional need, right? You need the freedom to express yourself, okay? And Aquarius is talking about, unconventional ways of doing things, right? So you might need to assert some spirited level of independence. It's also confidence too. You know what I mean? Like, I think that if you were a little bit more independent, then it actually might do well for your confidence, Cancer. Independent in some kind of way, whether that has to do with, like your perspective. Maybe you need to nurture your own perspective, right? So that you can assert some level of spirited independence, right? Thinking and feeling freely, and then making your decisions and your choices, because it is an 11, so it is related to the 11th house as well, right? It's trining that Libra energy of balance, right? Harmony, okay? So you're kind of trying to like think for yourself, have your own perspective. The moon is very receptive, so the moon is going to receive other people's opinions, right? In like because they're being socially responsible, like a Libra would be. Being the Justice card is generally the 11th house, right? Or the number 11, and the 11th house being Aquarius, right? Because this is a number 11 card. It's talking about friends, right? The being independent of your friends, right? You might be feeling a little bit isolated because you are independent of your friends now, Cancer, right? Because the moon does feel isolated, and so does Aquarius, right? Because Aquarius has that idea of isolating itself so it can get a bigger picture of like, what's going on in its life. You know what I mean? It kind of like concentrates on itself in a different way than Leo does. But then it also gives other people the space that they need to work whatever it is out that they need to work out. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe your friends are giving you space to work some things out. It could even be be your family giving you space to work some things out, because the moon is, the moon is your ruler, and you do rule home and family. So the moon being in Aquarius could be giving you some space so that you can nurture an experience that is going to help you gain some perspective, and therefore you'll have, your own independent view towards, yourself and what, you're capable of, because the moon is talking about your capabilities, right? And then so is Aquarius. It's talking about having confidence. Aquarius also rules the ankles and the feet. You know what I mean? So this is kind of like independence to walk, independence to step forward, independence to make moves, independence to get yourself from one place to another, because the moon is talking about evolution, and the moon is always changing, and it's always getting from one place to another. You see what I mean? And the moon also wants to express it wants to initiate expressions, that are happening in itself outwardly, right? Yeah. And maybe you just need to assert some level of independence, right? Anyway, let me move on. You do have Mars in Libra, and Mars rules Aries. So that means that it's going to be in a debilitated placement in Libra. Okay, so this is talking about asserting yourself and making a choice. You might be feeling uncomfortable in making this choice that is probably, related to this idea of independent perspective, right? And being able to see your plans through clearly, right? And being able to be the authority in your life moving forward, right? Because it is talking about moving forward, and Mars is a planet that wants to move, that wants to gain ground. It wants to forward. It wants to initiate, right? It's feeling impulsive. You may have made an impulsive choice, right? That you might be feeling regretful of. You know what I mean? Also, you might have to assert yourself in a way that you haven't before in terms of making a choice, right? This might be a very important choice. It's related to the seventh house, which is Libra. So this is talking about maybe people have the influence over you making a choice that really you need to practice independence and assert yourself in making this decision, because it is yours to make, and you need to assert your authority here, right? Because if you have a choice to be fair to you before you have to be fair to other people, then maybe you should do that. I don't know why I'm saying that. That doesn't even sound like something I would say. But it's also knowing how to approach situations, right? Because Mars is the approach, and it is kind of like how you are introduced, right? So you have a choice in how you begin something, or how you get something started. You're trying to make a good first impression, right? Because Mars is first impressions, and Libra is social, elegance and grace. So you might be trying to make a good first impression on someone or something, so that, a choice can be made clearly, maybe by that person. And it may involve something that you want from them, being that this Mars and Libra is here. And the moon and Aquarius is here too, because the moon needs and it wants as well. It's the moon is the fourth house, so it's related to the Emperor card from the tarot, and the Emperor is number 4. So the moon is very self-involved, because it's having so many emotions. It's always involved in like going through, the current or the waves, right? What current emotion am I feeling now? It's like, okay, let me just express that and move along, right? So it's like it's always expressing its emotions and how it feels, because people need to be aware of that, because feelings turn into, feelings turn into monsters sometimes, right? And if you let those monsters live inside that closet, honey, you're just going to be afraid of them all the time. So you just kind of have to let those monsters out. And the monsters are your emotions, okay? Or just let those waves come back to shore, okay? So you got Jupiter and Capricorn here, which is talking about elements of control, right? Being able to not give into unlimited temptation, or a temptation, abundant temptation, or this could just be kind of like throwing, the rules out the window, right? Because Capricorn is talking about ruling and governing things and creating structures so that, safety can always be relied upon, um, in some kind of way. But then this could also be someone having too much control over you as well, right? Because Capricorn is a sign that likes to be in control and like to be self-reliant, right? So, and Jupiter is a sign of extraness and unlimited possibilities. So, this could kind of like be like something getting out of control and needing to be put under control, right? So that you can stay grounded, right? Be careful to not let a situation get out of control that might involve money or like overspending, because it's kind of like governing your wallet. Capricorn is like your money too, like how you govern your wallet. Yeah. um and Jupiter is kind of like, just doing things get out of control, right? Jupiter is out of control and Saturn is control. So when Jupiter is in Capricorn, he has to definitely practice some element of self-restraint, right? It's kind of like being a little bit more quiet, not running too quickly, that type of thing. Because if you don't control yourself, then you could fall into some dangerous situations. You know what I mean? Or it's like controlling your surroundings as well, right? Because uh, um, Capricorn. What does Capricorn rule? Capricorn rules like the knees and the legs, right? So this could kind of like be controlling like, your environment to some degree, the terrain, right? Hmm. Okay, let me go ahead and continue to move on. You have also Venus in Aquarius here, which is detachment, right? Venus wants to be connected, right? In a loving, social kind of way, right? Because Venus, rules Taurus and it rules Libra. So it's like, romance, sensuality, love, grace, beauty, fairness, truth, those types of things. Being able to communicate on one levels. Um, and Aquarius is kind of like communicating from afar at a distance and also doing so infrequently. You know what I mean? Because it's not like a constant connection that Aquarius keeps. And while Libra can be detached as well, Venus can be detached as well. It can definitely come in and stay connected when, Venus can stay connected, right? Because it's interested, right? That Aquarius energy is almost like it's not interested. So I feel like for some of you Cancers out there, someone may not be interested in you in the way that you would like them to be. That might be hard for you to get. But yeah, someone may not be interested in you the way that you would like them to be. So it's kind of like time to move on, right? Also, I feel like, you might be detaching yourself from some relationships, right? Friendships, right? Because it's Aquarius, so it's talking about friendships, and Venus is relationships. From some friendships that you may have felt were probably toxic or problematic, you know what I mean? Like there was like misunderstandings there. It was just like not good for your, psychological process to probably stay connected to these friends, perhaps, or to these people that you once knew or called friends. Um, your detachment from an experience. Let me show you the card. Your detachment from the experience also may have gained you some perspective, right? Because, you might be relating to the experience in a way where you've gained perspective because you moved further away from it, right? So it feels different to you, right? You're able to see a different side of it, a different aspect of that relationship. Power is an issue here. You have the moon in Scorpio, and the moon is actually in its fall in Scorpio, right? So I've dated somebody with Moon in Scorpio, and they had a lot of Mars placements and other Scorpio placements, and it was very challenging. It was very difficult, and power was an issue. You know what I mean? Even when sometimes you don't realize that there's a power play happening. If the other person wants to be in power or wants to assert their power in a way, or maybe somebody feels weak, right? Because the moon is talking about your sensitivities and the places that you hide from people. So someone could be hiding, some sensitivities that they might be having, and they could be, expressing themselves in destructive ways, right? Because they want to show some level of power, or they want to exhibit some level of power so that they feel like they are still in control of something, right? Because this is the moon, and the moon is always constantly changing, and it changes faces as well. So this is kind of like if someone's being manipulative or they're confusing, because the moon can be very confusing too in its relationship to Pisces and Neptune energy, right? The moon can be confusing, and that Scorpio energy can kind of be a little bit undermining, right? Or it could be like manipulative. So someone could be using their powers of manipulation, right? And that might have even been something that you were dealing with, and that's why you had to detach yourself from an experience, right, that you were sharing with people, right? And now that you're at a distance from that, then you kind of have a new perspective, and you realize that it was probably a good thing. You probably even feel more in your power now that you have detached from this thing, or you're at a distance from it, right? Because we have detachment here, and we have independence here, and we have choice here, right? So there was a choice to detach and assert your independence, right, and your power, right? And the control element here with Jupiter and Capricorn is like things were getting out of control with the situation that might have involved business, or how you were governing your life, or just how someone was probably uh, an unhealthy addition, right? Because Capricorn is talking about consumption. So that's like having more. Something was hard to digest for you, right? So you had to make a choice. You had to assert yourself and think about what was fair to you, right? Right? You do appreciate someone's generosity, right? Something about eccentricity. Maybe you were too eccentric. Maybe you were too eccentric for some people. Maybe I'll show you because it came up. This card right here. When you're too eccentric for people, maybe they don't understand you. Hey, yes, thank you so much for the reading last night. It was fierce. This card is Saturn in Aquarius. And this is kind of like people having to learn from the differences, right? Learning from the differences that people have that, are around each other, that share spaces, right? Because Aquarius is talking about shared spaces, right? Places that people go together, that type of thing, commercial areas, things like that, or just existing in the world together, right? And Saturn is talking about time and things changing over time. And Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is the planet of, you know, thinking outside the box, and shaking things up, and being unconventional, right, and not practicing tradition. Capricorn can really, or Saturn can definitely want to influence the practices of tradition. Aquarius does not want to do that. Aquarius wants to break free. It wants to detach. It wants to assert a level of independence because it has a choice. It does not want to be controlled by any type of like governing that someone else has come up with, that type of thing. Okay, Cancer? And it's time to kind of like assert the power that you feel inside of you, right? You have to detach from this old way that you've been doing things and do them in a new way. Okay? Yes, Oracle of the Radiant Sun. All right, so let me look at the next card for you, Cancer. Extremism. Okay, right? I was just talking about that. Right? The manipulation, all of that. Mercury in Scorpio. Here we go again. That person that I was talking to you about, Cancer, that that I knew that had Moon in Scorpio, they also had Mercury in Scorpio. So there was some things that were happening with their life, right? That might be happening with your life as well. Also, we have to think about Mercury. Mercury has just shown itself. Mercury is going to be in Mercury was retrograde in Pisces back in the late winter. Now it's going to be retrograde in Cancer here in summertime. And then it's going to be retrograde again in Scorpio season. So during Scorpio season, Cancer, you might have to go to some extremes, or you might hear some extreme news, right? Because Mercury is the messenger and it's the bringer of information. And then, Scorpio is talking about those extremities, those places that people feel uncomfortable going. So, some information later, possibly during the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, you will experience some information that might be extreme for you to digest or to take. Right? It might be hard for you to digest psychologically because Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo, and Virgo is talking about digesting things, and Gemini is also talking about digesting things, but in the head, right? So it's going to be hard for you to digest, but it's going to be, it's going to help you transform, and this is going to show you just how powerful you are. You know what I mean? Because whatever it is, you're going to have to detach from the old way, like I said, that you thought of this thing, because it's going to set you free of something, because Scorpio energy does have to do with freedom, and there is power in freedom, right? You feel powerful when you feel free, especially when you have a choice, right? Because when you're free, you have you can make your own choices, right? You can assert you are in control, right? You have ultimate control over your life, right? Over governing your life, right? Your independence allows you to evolve, right? Right? Because when you don't feel free and when you don't feel independent, then you definitely are probably not going to evolve in the ways that you would like to, Cancer. And Cancer really is talking about freedom, spiritual freedom, emotional freedom, courage, the ability to think, to have the audacity that you can move forward. Because sometimes, Cancer, we get too involved. And I say we because I have a Cancer moon and my midheaven is in Cancer. And right now the North Node is in Cancer. So this is information for you, Cancer, to take. Okay? Sometimes we allow our emotions and how we've been affected from our past, because Cancer does rule past experiences and things like that. Because when that wave comes in and it crashes into the shore or the beach, you have to think about where that wave came from, right? That open place, that vulnerable place, right? That's hard to get to, okay? That came to shore, right? It's traveled a long way. It's evolved. It's gone through this emotion, and it's really kind of like brought it on home. So there are some things that, are deeper for you that you have to kind of like set yourself free of and release, right? So that you can really make the choices that you want to make for yourself, right? Be independent of those emotions that have held you back, right? Detach from that which has held you back, right? Because look at that. Look at the detachment from that which has held you back, especially in your mind. You know that song, Sail Away, Sail Away? That's Enya from the 90s. Child of the 90s here. Okay, so let's look at another card. Sorry, I'm hitting the chair with my foot, and I was like, what is that under the table? Ooh, this is a good one. Jupiter and Taurus. So status, right? This is talking about gaining status, right? Because it's Jupiter. And Jupiter is talking about gains, for sure. Taurus is also talking about gains, but gains in a meaningful way that you want to hold on to. Gains that mean something. Status, right? Because Taurus is talking about, how you build oneself up through the belief that you have of what you're, capable of doing. Security, self-security, right? Being self-sufficient. So your status is going to play a role in you being self-sufficient, right? Because Taurus rules the second house of earned income. So it's kind of like, the growth in your status might get you more money, or the growth in your status, Cancer, for some of you guys is going to get you more money, because Taurus is talking about money. Venus is talking about money. It's talking about pleasures, right? And how can you experience pleasures with no money? You can, but those are spiritual pleasures then. That's why we're related to the Hierophant too, right? With this Taurus energy. Because just as much as Taurus is related to material things, it has to do the exact opposite of that and give value to things that are totally not material so that it can feel balanced, right? So it's eventually going to reach that place of getting to that point because that's the higher form of, like, the thought process of Taurus. Esoterically, Vulcan, which is like a planetary body or an astrological body that's closer to the sun than Mercury, is actually, like the welder. It kind of like brings things into form. It's like purification, the purification of the form, right? How it's like dense condensation, right? And that's kind of like something like related to Scorpio energy, because Scorpio definitely condenses things down. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the venom from the snake, which is the anti-venom, which is something that is condensed down and it's transformed, right? It's like the thing that was going to actually kill you actually saved you and made you stronger. So that's where Scorpio is kind of like, so powerful, right? The moon, oh, my sensitivities. Scorpio, obsession, control, power, desire, right? Mars, you thought the thing that was you were going to be so sensitive to, right, that was going to kill you, it actually made you stronger. Look at how strong this thing is here, right? And it's kind of talking about passing through there, right? And then you can actually see, like, behind the archway, right, there's like the sun and the moon, and then you have the shadow of the mountains that are in the back. So there's something to be kind of like a threshold to sort of pass through or pass through, right? A portal, right? That is going to help you feel powerful. But it's kind of like you have to release that old person. You have to release those old emotions, that old part of you that made you feel, void of something, made you feel lack, made you feel alone, made you feel different, made you feel weird, made you feel like, eccentric, different than other people. You know what I mean? Over time, you realize that you didn't have to conform, right? You didn't have to sort of like be like everyone to build status, because when you're just like everyone else, that doesn't necessarily give you status. That just makes you like everyone, status quo. And that's what Taurus also rules, that status quo, right? Being like everybody else, right? You want more than just being like everybody else. That's why eccentricity is important, because eccentricity brings forth generosity from, Saturn, right? Because your eccentricity is of value to you. And Saturn is going to promote you when you start to use yourself and, use your gifts and all of the things that you're capable of in meaningful ways that is going to move you forward in life. Because Saturn is talking about time, right? It's talking about evolution, just like the moon is talking about time and evolution as well. Okay, and time and evolution is, you get tested. Saturn tests you and your spirit to show you what you're really made of, right? Because then it kind of like helps you graduate and move forward. So your eccentricity is something that you need to celebrate, because it's going to be your calling card that is going to get you the status, right? That is going to get you the power that you have wanted so much, right? And it's kind of like being in control of your emotions too. And that's what this card is also talking about. The moon wants to express itself. The moon is also an escapist. Scorpio can also escape as well, but going into dark places, right? The moon is representative of all the water signs for sure. So this could be like drinking, right? Somebody could be in control. Somebody could be having an extreme attachment to drinking or something like that, because it's like generosity, right? This is like just having more of something, right? And then it's like extremism, and then it's talking about like control and power, independence, choice. Anyway, and the death card came up over here too. So this is Scorpio energy, and it's talking about power and transformation, and it's talking about pushing past the fear of thinking that you can't make it through something, right? because it's also related to Mars. It's also related to the Emperor because it's 13. So, 1 and 3, that's 4, right? But the Death card definitely talks about not being afraid of things that everyone gets a touch of in life, right? Because everyone, we all know that no one is exempt. You might feel like you might be exempt from paying taxes, but you're definitely not exempt from death. You see what I mean? So, and I think about that all the time. I forget who said this, but there was a celebrity that said this. And she was like, oh, yeah, when I feel like, threatened by someone, or, just feeling uncomfortable by someone, or feeling like, someone is making me feel like they're above me in status or anything like that. You're like, well, they are going to die one day. Because they are. Everyone is. You know what I mean? So in that sense, status doesn't matter, right? Because things are going to be imminent for some people. You know what I mean? We have endings and beginnings all the time, right? Anyway, I veered over to the right away when I shouldn't have, but I did. I did what I did. Discrimination, Venus and Virgo. See what I mean? It's like you got to be able to make the right choice when it's calling for you to make the right choice, because you learn through time, right? To be discriminate, to practice healthy habits, to do things the right way, to try to do things the right way, to be very considerate of the things that are in your environment, right? Things that are constant in your life. You don't want to allow things in that aren't going to play to your higher good or to your best interest. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Also, it's kind of like, do you appreciate your work? Are you feeling good about work? How can you improve yourself at work? This is also kind of like, this could be somebody being overly critical in a relationship as well. You might be being overly critical in a relationship, because Venus is talking about love and relationship and partnership and bonds and contracts and, marriage and things like that. And Virgo is talking about analysis, right? And really breaking things down so you can see what you're really working with, making plans and choices. And, it could just be kind of like taking, the beauty out of something, right? And it's communication as well. Describing something and discriminating, you know, descriptive. Those are all words that are relevant, right? So it's kind of like what's being understood, because it's a 6. What are you perceiving, right? What are what are the context clues that you are aware of here that are causing you to be able to make the decisions that are important, right? Because Virgo does talk about things of importance. The 6th house does talk about everything of importance, right? That's why it's so critical. Everything is important. You know what I mean? Everything, even to what you eat in the morning when you wake up, what time you wake up, do you go to the gym, right? Do you pack, you know what I mean? It's just like, try to practice healthier habits. I know I need to as well. You know, also be critical when people are trying to come into your life, right? Right into your energy, for sure. Empathy, Moon in Pisces. All right, you got the moon in Scorpio and the moon in Pisces. And I was talking about that energy of the moon, um, of Mercury, sorry, of Mercury being retrograde. So anyway, let me move on because that's not what I was supposed to be saying. The moon in Pisces. This is like a placement that the moon loves to be in. And this is empathy, right? Someone could be showing you empathy, or you could be showing someone else empathy. Also, it's kind of like, how sensitive you are, how sensitive are you to the concerns of others, right? Can you allow yourself to go to a place that someone else may have been, in terms of like just kind of like understanding where they have been, right? Because the moon is talking about going in and out of things quickly, evolution. Pisces is going, into is being in different places at different times. So you might be being emotionally you're in two different places at one time. It almost feels like you might be sacrificing some part of yourself for a cause, right? Or you might be empathizing with someone. You could be showing some love to someone that is that you might be seeing as helpless, right? Or maybe you feel helpless about something. Yeah, that's it. I feel like you just feel someone's pain. But then it's also dealing with pets. So some of you might be having some issues with some pets right now, and you are trying to get them, taken care of. You might have some concern because you feel like there might be something wrong. I feel like if you think that you want to take them in to get a checkup, this discrimination card here being like Venus and Virgo. Venus and Virgo is actually a card in the tarot that talks about pets. Okay, here we go. That's what we got. Um, yeah, so here we go. These two cards are right next to each other. Okay, let me see. This is how they are. So you see how Venus and Virgo, right? You know what that card is, and generally in tarot, it's the Nine of Pentacles, and she usually has a bird or some kind of pet. So there's a dog here, there are butterflies here. The sixth house, it's talking about, your patterns and how you get through your day. So you're looking at your pet's patterns probably and seeing something that you may not like. And then right here, this is kind of like paying attention, right, in a way, right? Being intuitive, listening to those messages that kind of come to you that may not even actually be through voice. It's just kind of like, mystical things. You're a Cancer, you know what I mean? And here's the pet right here. And the moon is talking about, expressing, nurturing, providing like that place, that environment of safety. And then Pisces is talking about compassion, right? Showing compassion. And so I just feel like some of you might be needing to pay attention to your dogs or your cats or your birds or your animals, right? Okay, and get the status on the situation before it gets too extreme, because we don't want them to have any sort of like amputations or anything like that. For some of you guys that might be thinking about something like that, um, or maybe that happened. You know what I mean? Appreciation, Moon and Leo. Okay, Moon and Leo. That's the second house from Cancer, and the Moon is ruled by Cancer. So this is the Moon's second house. Okay, right? Um, so the Moon's second house. The Moon likes to be in the second house. Generally, the second house from Aries. But let's think about the second house from itself, right? It's kind of like if the moon is the mother, right? Then sometimes the sun can be representative of the father, okay? And the second house also talks about security as well. So the mother finds security in the father because there's balance that is there. Also, the second house is ruled by Venus, which also rules Libra, which is also talking about balance. The moon rules the moon is exalted in Taurus, which is the second house from Aries, right? Aries has a connection to Cancer, being that, Cancer is the fourth house and Aries is represented by the number four, the Emperor card. So, being that the moon is in Leo, that's kind of a good placement for the moon, right? I feel like the moon in Leo really has an appreciation for that energy of feeling balanced, right? With the home of the planet that could be representative of the father. It's like the center, right? Where everything comes from. It's the source of energy that everything comes from. So, and being that the moon is full when the sun is opposing it, it's kind of like the moon is almost illuminated a little bit more. It's uplifted. It feels good in the second house, right? Especially the second house from Cancer because it's ruled by the sun. Okay, so this is kind of like, abundant energy, cornucopia for sure, because it's Leo, and the sun is kind of like giving. When the moon is with the sun, it's a new moon. Okay, here we go. Now I'm getting some more information. With this new moon in Cancer in July, right, on July 2nd, it's saying that you probably are going to have a newfound appreciation for something, and you might just have this realization in your spirit, and it's just going to come from something that you pick up intuitively, or it's a feeling, right? Because here we go again with these birds that are sort of like messengers, right? And this is kind of like when you see a bird, it's like whatever you're thinking about or whatever's going on inside of you, like creativity happens inside of you, or creativity comes outwardly, right? And that's from the moon, that's from Leo, right? But the moon is actually expressing. The moon is what is the planet, the body of energy that allows us to feel compelled to express something, right? So you could be feeling compelled to express your appreciation for something come this new moon eclipse in Cancer. So it's going to be when the moon is conjunct the sun, which, you know, the sun rules Leo. So we have to think about that. Leo has something to do with this moon, and so does Cancer, obviously. And the North Node is also there. So we're having a lunar eclipse, right? It's a lunar eclipse, I believe. New moon, solar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. We're having a new moon solar eclipse in Cancer, which is conjunct the North Node. Okay, and this is my midheaven, and it's my fourth house. I mean, my 10th house of career as a Libra rising. So for you Libra risings out there, your Cancer is your 10th house, right? Anyway, that is going to be it for the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. We're at 46 minutes, and now I'm going to do a quick second reading, which you could apply that for what is it? August, right? So the first one can be July, the second one can be August, or it could just be 2 for 2. You know what I mean? 2 for 2 months. You're just getting 2 readings right now, Cancer. Bam. All right, so here we go. The Death card came up. You're talking about power issues and transformation, a struggle, right? Because that 4, you know, the 1 and the 3 are talking about that 4 energy of Aries, of Emperor, and, you know, that energy of conflict can feel like a struggle. So this is talking about conflict within a transformation, right? That's the Baby Death card. Conflicts within a transformation. We'll say at 46 minutes is when this one started. Conflicts within the transformation, not feeling powerful over something. I shouldn't have put that back in there. Not feeling powerful over something, right? Because sometimes when we know that something has power over us, we feel small, we feel weak, we feel like we want to respond, right, out of passive aggression, because passive aggression comes from a point of weakness, and Scorpio is talking about weakness as well, but so is Leo, the sun, right? Because the sun is strong, and we are definitely weaker than the sun, okay? So that's definitely talking about something, and the sun is always coming up in the Death card here, so this is saying like there's a new horizon, right, coming into play, right? Once you allow yourself to release your idea or your foundations that are old, right? Because this talks about old foundations that you're relying on too, right? Aware of like an environment that's changing for you, the awareness of an environment that's changing for you, okay? And you having to be courageous. At the bottom of the deck, you having to be courageous, Mars and Leo, believing in yourself. Mars is the planet of aggression and the planet of purpose, right? Intention, you know, impulsiveness, but also action. So you're acting upon an experience that you're relating to. You're having to practice, you're having to assert yourself and be very active within a scenario that you might be feeling like it might be unfair to you right now. You might be emotionally affected by the unfairness, right? You're feeling like you want to move forward. It's like things are getting into the way. Other people's opinion are getting in the way. Other people's actions are getting in the way. You know what I mean? Stop blaming other people, okay, Cancer? And you just need to realize where your power lies and allow yourself to make those those sacrifices and release those things that you just can't really hold on to, because the death card is related to Scorpio, and Scorpio is obsession and holding on to things. Let go of some of that stuff. You know what I mean, Cancer? Let go of some of the stuff so that you can function properly. This energy will be easier for you once you let go of the fear, right? That you don't know what's on the other side of something, right? Okay. Let me go ahead and lay the rest of the cards out. Okay. All right, Knight of Wands is here at the center of the reading, which is your present energy, Cancer. So it is talking about you wanting to move forward on something. This is the Knight of Wands, so it's double fire, right? So this is energy on top of energy. This is passion. This is spirit. This might be somebody coming in. You might be intimidated by the actions of someone else, or you might be acting in a way that might be wanting to cause some kind of intimidation with other people. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of like you wanting to intimidate others because you initially were intimidated, so now you're responding to the feeling of feeling intimidated, right? So you're being called to action and you're doing it. But then this is also saying, like, now you're suited up. Now you're really ready to go. Before, you were the Seven of Wands energy that was kind of like, oh my God, now I have to take care of this. But now you're like, I took care of them, and now I'm suited up and I'm ready to move on, and like I'm ready to take care of any other things or any other fools that come my way. You know what I mean? I'm ready to just kind of like go ahead and spearhead through something. You know, it's talking about sagittal, so it's movement forward. It also has to do with something that you transformed from that kind of challenge the relationship that you have with power and your personal power, right? Because 1/3 of the Knight of Wands, which is Sagittarius, would be Scorpio, which is this card, which is talking about power, transformation, letting go of things that you can't control, understanding where some of your desires might be toxic for you. Why do you desire certain things that are always causing problems for you? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like, you know, this could be like people, or this could be like things that might be complete, or things that you may have felt like were completing you. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Anyway, you're moving on. All right, work. You got Justice crossing you. This card has not come up for anyone in a long time, Cancer. This card squares you. No, Libra squares your energy. So it's talking about some challenges there. You know what I mean? It's that 90-degree angle from you. It's also saying that you might be challenged by being able to see clearly or see fairly or see the fairness in a situation. The Knight of Wands is talking about being mutable and being able to change up the way that you are doing something now based on an experience that you had before. Like I said, that you had to kind of like rise above, right? So you've risen above that. You may have felt like it wasn't fair to you in the past. Whatever it was that you went through, it might have had to do with a relationship, Cancer. Also, it's an 11, so it's related to the idea of how we relate to other people, and you know, in our environment, and how other people might be affecting our confidence because of what they make us think, or how they make us think, or because of the things that, you know, we go through, and the challenges and the stresses that, you know, relationships put us under, you know, that type of thing. Justice is also talking about contracts. It's talking about legal situations. So some of you guys might be thinking about divorces, or you know, or ending some things, because the Death card is talking about endings, right? Completions, right? Because fours are talking about completions and foundations, right? And the Justice card needs a stable foundation to feel like it can function properly, right? Who wants a scale that's lopsided or like on a tilt, right? Because then it's definitely not going to feel balanced. So you might be feeling challenged by the fact that you're always feeling an imbalance, right? This is also kind of like realizing that you are the person that is going to have to make the choices for yourself. You might even just be feeling like you're not going to take anyone's crap anymore now. You're really going to be practicing, you know, elements of self-justice and having justice for yourself. You know, the challenge is other people, because the Justice card is talking about other people, and you know, the things that happen when other people get involved, right? That's why we have court systems, because we have to kind of like process, the social, uh, the social abnormities that come up, right, and give people an understanding for what's fair and what's not fair, right? What can we justify? How do I relate to this scenario? What is the wisdom that I'm gaining from this? You know what I mean? And there is something to be revealed here as well, because this is an intuitive card, right? It's an 11, so it's kind of related to that high priestess energy of Pisces, and Venus rules Libra, and it also is exalted in Pisces. So there's something, a supreme knowing here. You know what I mean? It kind of is like pushing past what people might be trying to force you to believe, and really believing in, one's own truth, right? Because you know the truth, right? Even if someone tried to lie to you, you know the truth can't serve out something, and that's a challenge. I feel like you're being challenged by someone's lies, or someone trying to lie, and it might be a Pisces heart. Sorry, I knew this was happening. You hear how that's happened when I said Pisces? Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Ooh, I'm wearing my underwear. I was hoping that I wasn't going to have to do that. So it might be a Pisces that you're dealing with that might be lying to you, but you know the truth about something. Or you have wisdom of, of the social norms, right, of this person or of this relationship, and therefore you're challenged by some abnormities that you feel like might be happening. There's a fluctuation, and there might be, the fluctuation is unstable, right? That's the challenge. There might be an unstable relationship, and you have to protect yourself from that relationship moving forward, or protect yourself from the instabilities, right? And what someone's actions might be doing to you, or making you feel, or making you think about, or any of that. Other people's actions, right? Don't be concerned with other people's actions unless they're the actions against you. For the month of August. Okay. Now let's look at your sun. In your sun position, you have the Ten of Wands, which is Saturn in Sagittarius, and this is talking about the inability to see past your burdens and the obstacles that you might be feeling burdened by. This is kind of like expansion, but the growth of a situation, or how problematic a situation might be because you've let it grow or get out of control. So check a situation, become aware of it. You probably are aware of it, and you know that you have a duty to take care of it. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You have the ability, you have the tools, you have the time. You might feel like it's a lot, but you definitely have time, to get these things done. You know what I mean? You have a lot of time, because this is Saturn and Sagittarius. Sagittarius may want to get something done quickly or fast, right? Abruptly. But Saturn is saying, slow down, do this you know, with care. You know what I mean? Because you can't handle all of this at one time by yourself, right? You might need to ask other people for help in terms of getting from one place to another. It might have to do with travel, or it might have to do with work or career, or it might just have to do with, some level of growth that you feel like you have experienced over time based on all of the things that you have gone through. Now you're trying to see how you can use this, right? Use the burdens of the past as tools to kind of help you get to your future, right? It's time to process those things, right? Because it's a mutable card. It's Sagittarius. And it's also kind of like spirited and very intuitive. You have to do something, right? Before it gets too heavy for you. Okay, this is kind of like, feeling oppressed by, an experience, or feeling oppressed by the experience or the happenings, or maybe being confused by the oppression that an experience has caused you to have, right? It's like, oppressed by actions. not feeling comfortable, you know, um, feeling like you're doing more work than you need to do, or feeling like something is extra hard, right? You're expressing yourself outwardly. You're doing the work, even though it's hard, right? This is in a sun position, so you're like, I'm putting energy there into getting the work done, into getting from here to there, into really making it happen, and doing so in a meaningful way, learning while I'm doing it, being able to fail and get back up and do it again, try again. It's Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius really is going to try again and again and again and again and again. And so this is your energy, you know what I mean, and your sun position. I feel like that's probably what's happening because, you know, Mars, the sun, and Mercury are in Cancer, but it's opposing Saturn, right, and Pluto, right? Jupiter is in Sagittarius, you know what I mean? This is, the tens are related to Jupiter, right? This is completion of something too, in the beginning of something, right? The awareness of where the opportunity and the possibility lies for you to get something done, right? For it to be said and done. Okay, and this talks about, you know, graduation and gradually getting from one place to another. Some of you may be realizing that you're graduating late. Some of you might be graduating in the fall. Sagittarius season is the end of like the first semester of school. So for some of you, you might be realizing that, you know, that's going to be something that you're going to be doing because you're not graduating now. You might be graduating in the fall during Sagittarius season. So now let me look at the moon position. The moon is talking about, you know, work, right? Understanding, right? Allowing yourself to conform to your purpose, right? Right? Because the eights are talking about transformation, power. Also, it's talking about shared resources, providing things that other people can experience that will benefit them. Also, you know, the 8th month is August, right? The 8th card in the major arcana is Leo. So some of you might be getting a job or getting some level of you know, might be getting the opportunity to show your skillmanship in something in August, perhaps. Definitely. Or it could even be like in August during Virgo season. So let's say Leo season is July and August. So let's say late August, you guys might be getting a new job, or there might be some element of your everyday life that might be changing or transforming for you. You might be experiencing a change because it's an 8, and Virgo represents, you know, your daily life and the routine and the job that you do, and like, you know, your commute, right? How you get to work, doing the work, coming home from the work. That's all Virgo stuff. So that might be changing for you, right? Because this is in the moon position. It's talking about evolution and change. That might be happening for you later. You know, and you just might be feeling like you have a responsibility because the eights, you know, are related to that fixed energy of the strength card. You know, you might be feeling like there's an intended purpose here. So, you know, you're focused, right? You're really focused because the eights are very focused. And Mercury has to do with focus. So Mercury is connected to the eights as well. It's so complex, I know. But, yeah, you know, this is being aware of the details of a process, right? That it's like quality. The quality of something is probably going to improve for you, right? It's quality awareness, quality control, qualitative, right? So whatever it is that's changing, it's changing for the better quality of a situation, right? Quality of your everyday life, right? Everything. Habits. You'll feel like you're able to practice better habits because the quality of your environment and your home life is going to change and improve, and work is involved in that as well. So let's look in the past. Okay, that's great. And this kind of has something to do with that. This is Jupiter in Pisces, which is a card of great abundance, because it's related to the ninth house, which is Sagittarius, right? And that just gives. And Jupiter rules the ninth house, and it gives. And Jupiter also rules Pisces. So this being Jupiter and it being a nine and it being Pisces means give, 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 give. It's saying, what you want, you can have right now. And there might have been something in the past that you wanted and you wished for that you got, right? And now you're just dealing with trying to protect that and trying to gain more and get more out of that thing, right? You're trying to realize, where your level of leadership lies in your life so that you can create opportunities, because Jupiter is talking about opportunities for yourself as well. Because this person can get a lot of things for itself, can get a lot of things done, can meet a lot of people. It's fair, it's balanced, it has social elegance, right? Verbal eloquence, right? All of that. And this is travel as well. Some of you traveled in the past, and it was probably a positive experience for you, and it is good. It's pouring some positive energy into your ninth house, which is talking about your belief systems and your philosophies and things that are going on for you there. That might be great for you. Your ninth house is probably going to be a mutable sign. And that is probably for you. Let me see. Cancer, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, Aries. Okay, so your Pisces is your ninth house. Wonderful. And your ninth house is what, Jupiter rules that for you. So this is really great, Cancer. So there might be something going on with like some level of compassion, or you just getting what you feel like you've deserved for a while now. There's the ray of energy that is going to be very direct in you getting what you want, okay? And I feel like you can feel that intuitively, and that's why you're staying on it. That's why you're keeping on it on an emotional level, on a spirited level, deep in your soul, that if you keep working, you keep trying hard, and you practice a level of mental fortitude, daily fortitude, showing your strength to yourself every day, that those things that you've wanted in the past that you felt like maybe you weren't getting and it was unfair, right? You'll be able to get those things now. I just felt air. I don't know where it came from. All right, now we're about to be at the end of your reading, Cancer, for July and August of 2019. Okay, in the future, you're definitely going to be making some choices, Cancer. Energy that is squaring you, so there might be some kind of like hard decisions or some hard energy, right? In terms of making this decision. But it's the moon, right? This is your planetary ruler in a sign that is kind of related to you because it's cardinal. It's a sister cardinal sign. And Libra is the seventh house. Cancer is the chariot in the tarot, and it's number 7. You know what I mean? Cancer is receptive. Libra is receptive. Cancer, the moon is a satellite. Libra is definitely kind of a satellite as well, because it wants to move and go towards, to figure out more, to receive information so that it can process that. So you're processing some information, right? And this is talking about an evolution. This is talking about, not making this decision from a shallow place. Definitely, it's talking about understanding, where the possibilities lie for you in making this decision, right? This is kind of like you might be making a choice to connect with something, with someone, because it's relationship. This is also talking about, what is possible, because options, right, and choices give us possibilities. It's duplicities. You might have 2 different things that you can do. You know what I mean? And you might be confused by it, but you might be able to get both of those things that you want, and it's related to Gemini, so you might be dealing with a Gemini, and it has something to do with communication. You might have to make a choice or a decision to speak on something that you might be feeling, right? An evolution that may have taken place inside of you that you are spiritually impacted by. Um, yeah, I'm gonna let that be your reading, child. Cancer, I love y'all. I'm a Cancer moon, 29 degrees, and my midheaven is there. My grandmother is a Cancer. I love you guys. Oh, don't forget, I'm doing the special, 20 minutes for $20. Okay, so if you want to get a personal reading, if you want to make it all love, if you want it to be all romance angels oracle, if you want it to be like soulmate messages, it can be that. If you want it to be like the oracle of the radiant sun, it can be that. Rider Waite, wild unknown, archangel power, whatever. But 20 minutes for $20, which is great because a 30-minute reading with me is $50 and an hour reading is $80. You know what I mean? So it's like a 20-minute reading for $20 is a really great deal. I'm doing it for Cancer season, right? Mother, the Cancer. I told you guys the North Node is there. That's where the eclipse is happening. That's your sign, so it's really great for you. And also, Mars is there, Mercury is there. So that Cancer energy is very apparent right now. So being able to reflect upon information that is given to you from someone that has a Cancer moon might be very beneficial in you figuring out some inner lessons that might be trying to be taught to you. But email providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com to take advantage of the special. I would do sooner rather than later because the list does build up, and the sooner you get it, the closer you are to the top of the list. providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagrams, Providence Tarot Instagrams. I sound like somebody's grandfather. Follow me on Instagram. And also follow me at NYC Kendrick NYC, and the Tongue Pop. Providence Tarot is the account where you see all of the information that you see here and all of this stuff. I will leave the information in the description box for you guys. Don't forget, I read it on Shanti Bookshop and Crystal Gallery in New York City on Sundays from 12 to 5. It's at 230 East 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. Okay, so the building number is 230 on East 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues in New York City, near Union Square, near NYU, in the East Village area, kind of, sort of. Oh yeah, and my sister has a fashion line on, that's developing for her. She's a fashion student. She's gotten her degree and she's gotten her master's, and now she's in design school. And her name on Instagram is Sort of Wild, okay? And she's a millennial. I'm a millennial. All of my siblings are. But I'm one of the older millennials because I was born in '83. Thank you, beautiful. You're awesome, and I skip around in my underwear too. Ah, you saw me. These aren't even the cute ones, girl. These are like the boxer briefs. Or guy, I don't know. I'm sorry. These are boxer briefs, and I do not, because I ain't trying to have no VPL, right, or visible underwear line, right? I don't like seeing that, unless it's believable that you don't like wearing briefs or anything that's smaller than a boxer brief. It's very masked, I'm just saying. This is Cancer, you know how we are. We like to be wrapped up in strength, don't we? Wait, look. Let me stop, honey. Is that going to be the name of your reading, Wrapped Up in Strength? You did get an 8. You did get some Leo. All right, y'all. I love you. So, Cancers always get like an aw from me. Happy birthday.